So, as most of you may know, Adam Friedland, a comedian who used to be a part of a podcast called, how's the best way to put it? C-Town is probably the best way to put it, alongside fellow comedians Nick Mullen and Stavros Halkias. He has very much kind of gone and done his own thing after that podcast ended, and he has essentially become an interviewer who has his own sort of talk show in a way. And he has a myriad of different people on, from celebrities to like niche experts of a topic, or just people within a niche spirit realm. Some of them you may have heard of, some of them you may not have. He's had people like Blake Griffin, Sarah Jessica Parker, Chris Cuomo, a myriad of different personalities on his show. And most recently he had Ritchie Torres. Now some of you may not know who Ritchie Torres is, and I can't exactly blame you. He is a U.S. representative of like the poorest district of the United States, and he's not exactly a big talking head when it comes to current politics outside of one issue, and that is Israel. And it was something that they talked about on Adam's show when he was on, and it stirred a lot of conversation and received a lot of praise on social media from people within leftist communities, or at least on the left in general, for how Adam was able to make Ritchie look coming out of this. Maybe even not intentionally, but Ritchie did not look great coming out of this, because ever since October 7th, Ritchie Torres, despite not being that well known to the common person, has been very, very, very outspoken about his support for Israel, and it has resulted in him being discovered that Ritchie Torres, in the short stint that he has had in politics so far, I believe he's only had like 5 years being a representative, he's taken a lot more money from AIPAC than most people who've had like twice the amount of time in politics that he has had. Like, there are people who have been in like positions similar to what he is in right now who have not taken as much money from AIPAC as he has. So he's essentially just a Israel talking head at this point, more than he is an actual like elected politician. Because in all honesty, again, he wasn't a big name before this. There's a good chance that people within his district have no idea that that he represents them, honestly. Because it could just be people who are just like, when they were voting, they were just like, I'm just gonna vote for the Democrat. Like, I don't really care who it is. But before we really get into this, I will acknowledge that there has been some backlash from this, not from like conservatives, I mean definitely from that, and from liberals too, but even within the leftist community. And this is the most I'm really going to spend on it, because it's really just like a niche collective of like people within the leftist community who are complaining about this interview. And all I'll say is this: I do think there are fair criticisms within that camp, but I feel like if you're spending most of your time when it comes to talking about this interview solely talking about how you didn't like how Adam portrayed himself, I'm going to look at you sideways, and I feel like that's fair. Again, I do think there's some fair criticisms, the main one being people having a problem that Adam is centering his Jewish identity into this, even though I will say he even acknowledges in this interview that him being Jewish should not be a big deal at all in this conversation. And the reason why people have a problem with this is because when it comes to situations like this, when it comes to situating the genocide in Palestine under the umbrella of how like Jewish people feel about this whole subject, it shouldn't matter, because there's literally a race of people, a population of people who are currently being genocided. Their feelings are the ones that should matter. However, I will say, I feel like the way that Adam comes across it in this interview is a good way to do so. And while I do feel like that piece of criticism is valid, I feel like, again, if that's your main point when it comes to this whole conversation, when it comes to an interview where an Israeli talking head comes out of this interview looking fucking terrible as shit, I'm gonna question you a bit. It feels like you're more there just to complain. That I just wanted to like get that out of the gate, because like, again, I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's only really a niche amount of people that are really focusing on this. And again, while I do think that is fair, I think that the way that Adam does it, even though that's not really what he's like, the way that Adam goes across it, I do think is a good one. I do think it's a good way, especially when he is talking to someone like Ritchie Torres, who focuses so much of the conversation of being like trying to defend Israel and like how he can defend them about like the Jewish identity, even though he is not Jewish, by the way. He's like I think I've seen the term be like phileo-Semite, someone who loves Jewish people, shit like that, to like and the nth degree. So like in a way that's like very creepy too. And you'll see that in the way that Ritchie talks to him, because the way that Ritchie, a non-Jewish man, talks to Adam, a Jewish man, about anti-Semitism and shit like that is extremely fucking gross. But we're going to start from here, where Adam brings up that Ritchie Torres has taken donations from BlackRock, which is a very like corrupt investment group.
The back, say fuck off.
Yeah, I'm not.
So they're giving you a check just because?
I decide issues on the merits. I don't know what others do, but I decide issues on the merits.
So it's a just cause check?
Just cause.
They're just giving you money just cause they think you're nice?
I'm pretty sure that even there are lefty candidates who have gotten money from people who are employed. Yeah, rank and file employees, sure.
I figure like you could, maybe if you're like, this guy's...
You do know that,
this guy's making my constituents' lives worse. You could be like, fuck you, I don't want it. I'm in a safe blue district.
Yeah.
Right?
People should judge me by my record, so by the legislation I pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, your record is like fucking non-existent, because again, during like the time of a general election, this motherfucker just wouldn't shut up about being like, we need to support Israel. During a general election, did not talk about his own district at all. He does not give a fuck about his own district. He only gives a fuck about like sucking Israel's.
I work 7 days a week. I'm visible in my district. I'm on the ground. I'm happy to. If you ever want to take tours of my district, I'm happy to walk you through my district. So.
Yeah, I'd like to. I've been to the zoo in Yankee Stadium.
Right. Well, not the actual projects, not the amenities, not the institutions.
Yeah.
I can give you a sense of racially concentrated poverty in a place like the Bronx.
So that's what my question is like.
Where do you live? Which borough?
I live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's my question. Like,
so
right?
you might be divorced from the experience of racially concentrated poverty.
But what does that have to do with taking money from blacks? Like, I just feel like that's a deflection.
Well, I think
and I don't want to.
Yeah, he's trying to like use like identity politics in this conversation, because he just can't answer the question of like, why did you take money from BlackRock or Blackstone? No, BlackRock. It's BlackRock. I think did I say Blackstone? I meant BlackRock. I don't know. It's very late. I'm sorry. But yeah, he like, it's just deflecting of being like, trying to like weaponize identity politics in a way of being like, well, you're a white person, you wouldn't like, and that's fair. That's totally fair. Like, yeah, a white person probably wouldn't be as knowledgeable to like districts or areas that are more racially diverse, that don't get a lot of, again, he does represent the poorest district in America. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of like, people like non-white people who are there who are not seeing the sort of amenities that, people who live in districts like Adam live in don't get. I mean, that's fair, but again, he's using that as a diversion to try to like divert the conversation from being like, oh yeah, I took money from like a sketchy group that like literally advocates for things that do not make people's life better.
Because I don't want to cut like an argument right now. I don't want to argue.
That would literally, it would like he is taking money from a group that like contributes to problems that would like affect his constituents even more so. Because again, poorest district, they don't have like the protections that other people from more like richer districts get. So they don't have the amount of protections from shit like climate change, from like, gun violence and shit like that. Like, all this stuff impacts his constituents way more. And yet he's taking money from the people who are like allowing this shit to continue.
If you want to question my ability to represent my district, I'm happy to show you what I do. I'm happy to bring you to my district.
What I'm calling into
and introduce you to my constituents.
What I'm calling into question is the institution, right? I'm calling into question the system, and you're functioning within a system, right?
I've received contributions from tens of thousands of people. I can't keep track of every person. I'm not responsible for every person.
There's a difference, though, between one person and a big investment company. Like, if you are just so unaware of what is going on in your political career, especially when it comes to donations from big investment companies, I think that says a lot about you as a politician. Like, if that's true, if he had no idea he was getting this money from BlackRock, then he's a shitty politician. Like, that's not even a good defense. Like, this isn't like some mom and pop. Like, this isn't like a common folk who's just handing you money, being like, hey, I like the work that you're doing. It's a multi-million-dollar company that's giving you money.
You forgot.
I'm only responsible for what I do.
Okay. So
I mean, you can,
have you ever-
you can play the gotcha game, but that's not.
I'm not trying to play the
No,
gotcha
but
game.
that's
I
not-
think you're used to like Anderson.
He's such a
Cooper 360.
bitch. You'll see this a lot where he's just like, oh, you're playing the gotcha game. You're just trying to get some clips or some shit like that. Like, he thinks that Adam is out to get him just because he's pushing back. Which really just goes to show, like, how fucking coddled a lot of politicians are nowadays. Because, like, you know, they'll go on news shows like CNN and Fox, and even if it's like a Democrat going to Fox, I mean, in that case, they do push a lot more. But that's because, like, you know, the fucking right have become fucking attack dogs. But, like, there's been multiple times where a Republican will go on, like, CNN, and there might be some pushback, but still they'll always give them, like, easy questions to answer. They don't really push back all that much because they're trying to protect the same institutions and shit like that. But, like, Adam being an independent in this space, and again, he's not a journalist, he's an interviewer. But for him to be like, hey, you took money from this, like, evil investment company, like, don't you think that's a little weird? And for him to be saying that, like, he's just, like, pointing out, like, hey, you're not answering my question. And Ritchie is like, oh, this is a gotcha. Like, he can't even answer a simple question of, like, why did you take this money?
See, and I'm a guy. I'm from Coming Town Podcast.
I'm happy to answer whatever question you have.
Yeah, whatever. Here's a question for you. I think you've established yourself as the fiercest champion of the state of Israel in Congress.
I've never described myself in those terms.
I'm
pro-Israel, but those are terms.
Well, I think maybe you've been dubbed that.
Yes.
Okay. Listen, like, I'm a Jewish person. Like,
right.
I have my own opinions on this. You have your own opinions, and this is a really frustrating conversation to see people have on the internet. I don't get an opportunity to talk to someone that's making decisions and supporting these things that are a huge deal to people right now.
Sure.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was interesting, and I want to start with you, is that.
And I will say this before we get really started. Like, Adam is very aware of, like, who he is as a person and his qualifications. I don't think going into this, and maybe I should have played a bit of the intro beforehand, because he talks about how uncomfortable he was during, like, this segment of it, and how he wasn't even sure if he was going to put it out. And I think some of that comes from the fact that he does get really emotional during this interview, which, you know, I can't really blame him, because, like, this shit that's going on is really horrific. But also being like, maybe he just didn't think he was qualified. Maybe he think he didn't do the best job, like, defending his points. And again, I do think there are ways that Adam could have done better in this interview, and we'll probably go through that as we watch this part. But again, I think he did pretty well for being, like, someone who, again, he's not a journalist. He doesn't know all the facts about the situation. He's just a guy who has his own feelings about what's going on and is trying to have, like, a human moment with someone who is, like, the biggest talking head for Israel in the United States, like, one of the most, like, vocal supporters, because he gets a lot of money. He's just trying to have a human moment with him of being like, what's going on is wrong. And he, like, the biggest problem, in my opinion, is that I do think, like, Adam does try, maybe not even humanize Ritchie in a way, but just try to make him understand the atrocities that's happened. Like, I don't think he's trying to humanize Ritchie. I think he's just trying to get him to just understand why people feel the way they do about the genocide. And Ritchie, because again, he's a paid shill, just comes off as a complete demonic, you know, sold his soul to the devil sort of creep. So again, the reason why I have so much of a problem with people going after Adam for this interview and how he conducted himself is because this guy is, like, just being a human about it. And he's expressing his feeling. And again, Palestinians should be the ones who are at the forefront of this. Like, their feelings and how they are treated should always be at the forefront. But when you have a guy like Ritchie, who definitely avoids interviews, will not do interviews if he feels like he's going to get pressured that hard when it comes to, like, this topic, who I generally feel like would run away if he actually thought that Adam was going to be, you know, contentious like the way that he is later in this interview. I think the way that Adam went about it was the right call, because, like, if Adam would have went at it as, like, this, like, attack dog of, like, trying to get on Ritchie for being pro-Israel, being like, oh, you're disgusting and shit like that, I don't think Ritchie would have, like, honestly, I don't think he would have stayed, and B, I don't think that would have been productive in the way, because then it just turns into a screaming match, where in this, you get someone who's actually trying to be, a human about this, versus a guy who is just a paid talking head, who is just a puppet. So I just wanted to talk about that a bit before we really get into the weeds of this.
You described your first trip to Israel in 2015 as a life-changing experience. And I just wanted to follow the narrative of like you growing up and your struggles and then going into the government. Like what was that experience like, and what bred that passion for Israel in you?
Well, since I grew up poor my whole life, I never had an opportunity to travel abroad.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever
free trip
went to a foreign country.
So it was life-changing because you went on a trip?
Part of the reason, went abroad for the first time, life-changing. But also, when you experience the complexity of Israel, you go to the old
what
city.
Did you see? Like, what did you...
It's really funny to be like, I finally get the chance to see the world outside of the United States. And the first one you pick is Israel. None of the European cities, nothing like that. Not, like an Asian country. Maybe even something in the, the global south. Just to like see what it's like down there. Like Brazil, like going to check out Brazil. Maybe go to a place in Africa. Shit like that. No, it's like, no, I want to go to Israel. Like, even if we're talking about, like, the Middle East, like, look, I don't like the way that they operate, but, like, Saudi Arabia at least looks better. If we're gonna be honest. Like, it has at least a bit of a look to it. The politics are fucking terrible, but still. Like, maybe Hawaii. I mean, there's obviously the problem with tourism there, don't get me wrong, and the colonization of Hawaii, definitely, and, like, shit like that. But still, out of all of that... You pick Israel. Like, you have so many choices. And you go to Israel first.
Did you witness, like...
Well, go to the old city.
Yeah. I've been there.
Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah.
Go to the Masada, where, Jews committed mass suicide to escape enslavement.
Of course, I've hiked up Masada.
The Gaza envelope.
Yeah.
Went to Sderot, spoke to the local mayor who said that...
You went to Gaza?
I did not go to Gaza, no.
What did you say, Gaza envelope?
No, Gaza envelope, which is right on the border with, it's Israel, but it's right at the border with Gaza. So.
It's right next to the fence.
Yeah, it's in the proximity to.
What's at the Gaza envelope?
Like
I've never heard that term before.
Sderot.
Yeah, with the rockets.
Yeah.
Going in. Yeah.
Yeah.
How far is Sderot from Gaza? It's like a mile or something.
Yeah, within a mile.
Yeah. It's right next to it.
Yeah, striking proximity.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's a small place.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's why Hamas was able to so easily penetrate on October 7th.
By getting over the fence.
Yeah, and it's so close.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just want to know because it seems like it was powerful, and it seems like it's informed your record, and I that's what's interesting to me. It's like your story and how you got here, and like I think it's narratively what fascinates me.
Maybe one day you'll give me a chance to tell it. So.
Why are you annoyed by this question?
I'm kidding.
Like maybe that was like him trying to be like funny because. Like, I've seen this multiple times. Like, I wanted to really, like, get a good view of it before I covered this. Because I didn't want to do, like, a normal reaction. Just because, like, honestly, I didn't think I was going to cover this at first. Because I wasn't sure, like, how deep they were going to get into it. But, like, this whole part, like, here. Ritchie, you can tell, like, Ritchie is always trying to, like, make jokes. Trying to do some quips and shit like that, but it just falls flat on his face. It's kind of like try hard. It's like that guy who like constantly just tries to make jokes seem like the funny guy, but it just doesn't work because like he's not charismatic at all. He's not. Again, there's a reason why I said there's a good chance that a lot of people within his district have no idea who he is, that they probably just voted for him blindly, and that's because like I can't imagine people really getting behind this guy. Like, there's nothing about him that I feel like draws that much attention. Again, he only became at least a somewhat known name because he just wouldn't shut the fuck up about being Israel's biggest supporter.
Spoke to the local mayor of Sderot.
Yeah.
And he said to me that the majority of his children struggle with post-traumatic stress because families like his live under the threat of relentless rocket fire. And I remember seeing these bus stops doubling as bomb shelters. I come from the Bronx where people live in fear of bullets and guns, but we in America do not worry about Canada and Mexico firing rockets into American homes and communities.
I wonder if he feels the same way about Gaza. Because he literally acknowledges that the fucking rockets are literally 1 mile out from the city, or were before the fucking city was leveled out. Like, he recognizes how close the missiles were, but he wants to talk about how these people feel scared of rocket fire when there's little rockets pointed right to Gaza. And he has no sympathy for them. He didn't even visit Gaza when he had the chance.
You know, we're a country of 330 million people. We're surrounded by oceans, and Israel's a tiny democracy the size of New Jersey that's literally surrounded by both state and non-state.
Dude, he is just hitting that APAC talking points right there, just hitting them rapid fire. He's like constant missile threats, size of New Jersey, they're so small. You know, Israel is a small bean, can do no wrong.
That are intent on wiping it off the map. So,
yeah.
You know, I left Israel with an empathy for the unique security situation that Israel faces.
Not for the people in Gaza.
Did you visit the occupied territories while you were there?
I went into not Gaza, but I went into the Palestinian Ramallah. So.
Yeah, Ramallah.
Yeah.
And what did you see when you were there?
You know, we spoke to Palestinians who obviously have a much more critical view of Israel, and
and that didn't resonate as much as, like, what was your takeaway from hearing?
Look,
you're hearing the mayor of State Road, his children have PTSD, and then this guy's like, Israel's screwing with me.
Well, look, I'm in favor of a two-state solution.
Sure.
I feel like the just outcome lies not in the existence of a Jewish state to the exclusion of a Palestinian state, or the existence of a Palestinian state to the exclusion of a Jewish state. It's the coexistence of both. So I think.
But the two-state is not a coexistence. Like, two-state is literally just like, we're just gonna do our thing over here, but there's already that power imbalance. When it comes to that, like, yeah, even if it's its own state, there's still like a power, like Israel. What's stopping the Israel side from doing what they were doing before to Palestine, like to the Palestinian state? Nothing. The two-state is garbage. There should only be one state, and I'm not even saying like a pure Israel state or a pure Palestine state, because I said I was going to talk about it as much, but some people's criticism of Adam is in the regard that he does not believe that there should be a sole Jewish state or a sole Palestine state. And some people in the leftist community are like, no, there should be a sole Palestinian state and we should just kick the Israelis out. That doesn't work. Because now you have this whole group of people who have been fed propaganda for their entire lives of how Palestinians are evil, they're animals, and if they have the chance, they will kill you on sight or get rid of you. If you do that, you're just feeding into those people's fears, into the propaganda they were told their entire lives. And if you don't think that something's going to be done about that, like if those same people, because some people, like some Israelis do have dual citizenship with the United States, others don't. There are others who don't have dual citizenship. So like, what do you do with those people? Especially within the political climate of the United States now, where Trump and the Republican Party is just trying to do anything they can to avoid migrants coming in. And same with the Democratic Party too, they play a part into that as well. Do you think they're just going to accept a bunch of Israeli immigrants if Israel was to fall and a Palestinian state was to be put in its place? No, now you have another displaced group of people. Like, what do you do with it? You can't just get rid of them. Again, they already have this view of Palestinians being evil, that they need to eradicate. If that happens, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're just going to be like, yeah, fine, we're just going to go? No, it's just going to lead to more violence. The solution should be to do a one state for both people in Israel and people in Palestine. Try to do a system where you deprogramize these people who have been fed this narrative their entire lives of Palestinians are pure evil. You know, get rid of that propaganda. Try to like re-educate these people and set up a democracy where both sides get equal say, where there's equal rights for all, which is something that Adam brings up later. But, you know, I don't want to talk about this all that much when it comes to like the leftist complaints that I've heard from this interview, because again, I think it's a very niche population of the leftist community that is talking about this. But also, I think they're just kind of wrong in some instances. I think they're just like completely ignoring the outcomes when it comes to what they think those solutions are. Like, I think they just like are just being reactionary about this and aren't really aren't really thinking it through. More than likely just because they're repeating what a certain someone that they like a certain creator that they like is saying.
I want to see the struggle, both the Israeli and the Palestinian struggle for self-determination to be reconciled in the form of a two-state solution.
A big topic nowadays is campus anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
You've spoken out against it. I just want to know what you identify as the examples of this type of anti-Semitism in elite academic institutions.
Yeah, so there were students at a CUNY Halal, where you had a violent, what I thought was an aggressive mob following them to a kosher restaurant in the heart of New York City. And
what were they doing, the mob? What was the mob doing?
just following them, and then barricaded the restaurant and
they were like chanting?
hurled insults at the patrons and slamming the windows. You know, much of it is captured in video footage.
Yeah.
And, you know, harassing people simply for being pro-Israel Jews, to me, is wrong.
Is there any other examples?
Yeah, you should never harass people who openly express opinions of being like, yeah, we should just genocide a whole population of people. Fuck that, dude. Again, he is a pro-Israel talking head, and even the way that he portrays that, it's like, okay, so a group of people were harassing another group of people because the second group of people believe that, like, Israel should be allowed to commit genocide. Like, anyone with a fucking brain and a heart would be able to be like, yeah, that's a pretty understandable way of why people would be fucking mad at them. Like, nobody's gonna come out of that situation being like, yeah, the genocide supporters are in the right and they don't deserve to be harassed. Publicly, too. Like, this isn't like a doxing situation. It's just like, you see people who are vocally supporting a genocide. Like, what, do you think there's not going to be any ramifications from that in terms of public opinion?
Like, there's a restaurant. I mean, it's just like, all we're hearing about is campus anti-Semitism,
I mean,
radical. Like, is there a link between Hamas and the protests? Like, is that established?
Well, there are students who have faced harassment and intimidation because of their beliefs. There are students who feel inhibited from expressing.
There have literally been pro-Palestine college students who have faced physical violence. Like, all right, intimidation, harassment, whatever, yeah, that's annoying, but some of these people have literally been fucking brutalized by the police, have been fucking harassed nonstop by these same people that are saying that they have faced anti-Semitism. Like, the same people that Ritchie is saying, like, there's been plenty of people who are just like, yeah, I faced anti-Semitism on college campuses, and then there'll be like a fucking video being like, no, this guy was just being a fucking dickhead to these protesters.
Their Jewish or Zionist identity because of the atmosphere of intimidation or harassment on college campuses.
Him saying the Zionist identity, that's not a fucking identity, that's a belief structure. And that would be like saying, like, being a Nazi is an identity. Like, you shouldn't harass people because they're a Nazi. Like, that's the same thing. A Zionist is a Nazi. Like, that's so dumb of being like the Zionist identity. Like, what, do you think Zionists should be like a protected class?
You should speak to this.
How have they...
Are you denying that there's any campus anti-Semitism? Or?
Well, I'll give you an example. I know a younger person that went to UCLA and was attacked, and is Jewish, and was with a group of Jewish people at a protest, and they were attacked by the Proud Boys.
Okay, that's an anti-Semitic incident.
No, but the Proud Boys were there for Israel. And those are the guys that did
the
Charlottesville.
Proud Boys are there for Israel?
Yeah.
I think of the Proud Boys as like white nationalists and white supremacists.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I wonder why white nationalists and white supremacists would be in support of Israel. I don't know. Seems like there's a lot of crossover there. You know, the Proud Boys, they don't want anyone of color to be in America. They hate, you know, black people, brown people. You know, they hate brown people a lot. Israel also hates brown people. You know, the Proud Boys hates Muslims. Israel hates Muslims. Ritchie Torres hates Muslims. I wonder what's the correlation there. Like, it's so fucking stupid. And, like, that's a great fucking example from Adam. He was like, yeah, there were pro-Zionist Jews who were harassed at UCLA by the Proud Boys who were, you know, who are pro-Israel. Like, the Proud Boys are pro-Israel. It's not that hard to look it up. The Proud Boys love Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is so pro-Israel. And what's also funny about that, speaking of Trump, who may or may not be dying at the time of this recording. The thing about Trump is that earlier in this interview, Ritchie brings up Trump, and he essentially calls him like the devil. He's like, he's the problem with everything in America right now, even though like the Democratic Party definitely played a role into him even being in the position that he's in because of their incompetency. But Ritchie, like, he calls Trump the devil, but like, Ritchie loves Israel, so does Trump. So like, there's a lot more similarity. Like, that's the thing. Like, what does he think about Trump's support for Israel? That's something that I honestly wish Adam would have asked him during this interview. Is like, well, you said that Trump is the devil. I mean, he's not wrong.
Are you fucking Satan?
I'm not fucking Satan.
He is fucking Satan.
But like, still, I mean, even fucking Ritchie earlier in this interview is like, the problem why the Democrats didn't win is because of the migrant crisis. Like, he's even doing like Republican fucking talking points because the Democrats are spineless losers who gave in to being like, yeah, we have too many migrants here.
We're anti-Israel, but okay.
Listen, I'm like a comedian, right? Like, I hate when comedians, especially on the internet, like speak from a position of authority with like about crap that they don't know about. You know, this is one topic I feel like I can speak on, and
on college campus anti-Semitism.
No, on anti-Semitism and
in general, because you haven't been in college how long? Probably 2 decades, right?
I'm telling
Jesus
you,
fucking Christ. Like, remember back when he was like, oh, you're doing a gotcha when he brought up BlackRock? That's what fucking Ritchie has been doing for like the last few minutes. He's been trying to do gotchas. He's like, well, you haven't been in college campuses in like a couple years or so. Like, I fucking hate his little devil ass smile. You can just like see in that smile that his soul is no longer there because he sold it to Israel.
My experience of anti-Semitism the last 2 years. But the last 2 years have felt
again,
different.
this is him talking to a Jewish man, being like, yeah, you don't understand anti-Semitism. Imagine if the tables were turned. Adam was trying to explain to Ritchie what anti-black racism looked like. Everyone with a fucking brain, unless you were like a dipshit Republican, would be like, yeah, you like, how, like, what authority do you have to talk on this subject to a black man? And it's the same in this case. Like, Adam is trying to explain the anti-Semitism that he has faced since October 7th, which he explains is coming from right-wing groups, not from leftists on college campuses. And fucking Ritchie is just like, you don't understand it, as a non-Jew myself. And what's also so gross about this is that, like, I'm not sure if he's gay or bi, but he's, you know, he's within the LGBT community, and he's also mixed. He's black and Latino, I believe. So you think with, like, you know, the triple threat there of being two different minorities and being part of the LGBT community, you feel like, having been someone who has faced so many levels of oppression in your life, you would probably sympathize a lot more with the people who lived under a constant state of surveillance, a constant state of harassment from the state of Israel there for your entire life. You think he would be more sympathetic to Palestinians, but he's not. Because when it comes to people of color, and when it comes to, you know, people within communities like the LGBT, they have a better understanding of, or at least they are way more willing to show support to causes like this in support of the people who are being done wrong. But Torres has, again, he sold his soul. He got the money, he got the bag, and now he's just like, now I'm just going to advocate for a genocide the rest of my life. That's what also makes this so disappointing. Like, not to go to like identity politics, but it's like, it's so mind-boggling to be like, you're part of like 3 different oppressed groups in America, and yet you're still like, no, I'm going to support a supremacist until I die, like a supremacist state.
And I don't know if you've been on Twitter recently. Now a ton of people are questioning the validity of the Holocaust having happened.
Yes.
Yeah, on a platform ran by someone who is pro-Israel, but is also anti-Semitic. Like, you can be both. You can be both anti-Semitic, which Ritchie kind of is in this interview, while also being like a phileo-Semite, like being way too into the Jewish identity as a whole, honestly. He's just like, he's way too into it. The best way I could describe this is like, it's like when fucking dudes, like manosphere dudes, talk about how much they love Asian women because of how like submissive they are and shit. Like, it gives off the same vibe of like infantilization, of like fetishization. The way that Ritchie talks about Jewish people, like, it's really gross, but like, He's also anti-Semitic in the way that he talks to Adam about his own lived anti-Semitism experiences. Like, it's so fucking gross.
Can you tell me with a straight face that those are the 18-year-old kids at Columbia that are doing that?
The 18-year-old kids at Columbia?
Are they doing those posts about the Holocaust never having existed? You know who's doing it.
No, we disagree here.
You think that it's the...
So I didn't... You don't put words in my mouth.
It's people...
Then what do you disagree on? What do you disagree on, Richie? Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't honestly think he would have done this interview. That's why I feel like this interview is so important. I feel like if Richie did not think that this was going to be like a contentious interview, if he thought this was going to be a layup, because, you know, Adam is just a comedian, he's just an interviewer, I honestly think Richie came into this interview being like, this is going to be a layup, this is going to be a dub. You know, I'm going to look great after this. It doesn't matter if he tries to push me on Israel-Palestine. But he's, like, so bad at it. He's just so bad at it. He's so unlikable. Like, a lot of people, like, after this interview came out was just like, dude, Richie's, like, the team behind Ritchie Torres must hate him. Because why would they let him do this? Honestly, I think he did it because he thought he was going to be, like, an easy dub. Because he was like, oh, this is just some stupid comedian. Or maybe he honestly just thought because he was Jewish, he was just going to agree with him. Like, maybe that's it. Like, he was just like, well, he's a Jew. He's definitely pro-Israel.
Let me tell you.
You're suggesting that there's... You're suggesting there's no... You're suggesting there's no one on the far left that denies the Holocaust? Or downplays the Holocaust? That's an absurd statement.
You're doing moot court right now. I'm telling you what it's like to be my experience being Jewish.
Yeah, but there are others who have a different experience.
I would legit like to see one example. I would have liked to see Adam be like, name one person. Name one person who actually has, like, a voice, who actually has, like, influence within the leftist space, or just, like, the left in general. Like, name one person who has downplayed the Holocaust or denies it in an honest way. Not in a way of, like, oh, you think they're downplaying the Holocaust. Like, in an honest way. I would like to see him do that once. Because I guarantee you he can't in an honest way. In a way that is actually truthful.
Why is one better than the other? Why is one more important than the other? I'm trying to share with you. You're in the government. I don't get a chance to talk.
Of course.
Okay? I think hatred of Jewish people has exploded in this country. And I don't think it's... I think it's because it's of our support of what looks to be an absolute brutality.
And here's the thing. I can understand people hearing that and being like, oh my god, this guy is a Zionist. I can't understand people calling Adam a Zionist. There are legit people who are calling, like, Adam a Zionist, a Jewish supremacist after this, and, like, I think that's really disgusting. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that really, like, when I've heard someone say that, like, when I saw people, like, posting that and shit, I was just like, what the fuck is the matter with you guys? You guys are not, like, actually watching this shit. You're just, like, again, you're getting your talking points from some dude on the internet. And you're just, like, spouting that shit without actually, like, listening to what he is saying. But, like, I can understand why people on a jerk reaction level might be like, oh, he's doing, like, Israel apologia and shit like that. Maybe. Or he's, like, you know, he's spouting Zionist talking points. But, like, what he gets into, like, we'll see what he gets into. Let's play this.
And I think that...
You think that's a justification for anti-Semitism?
Here's the thing.
You think Israeli government policy is a justification for anti-Semitism? My view is there's no justification for anti-Semitism.
I think that...
There's zero justification for anti-Semitism.
Okay, you're deflecting again.
I'm not deflecting. That's my position.
What does it look like to have a flag with a Jewish star and I'm Jewish? And for kids to be starving right now? Why is my government... I don't want to do this fight. Let's not do, like, a yelling at each other.
What Adam is essentially trying to say here, and he does get more into it, and I will let it play out, but, like, what he's trying to say here is, like, there is a country out there who is saying that they are doing what they are doing for the sake of Jewish people. And while there are a lot of people out there who understand that as a way of being like, well, they're just using this as an excuse to commit genocide, there are people, like people on the right, who are more inclined to be anti-Semitic, who will just see that and be like, well, I'm just going to be even more... Like Nick Fuentes, for example. Nick Fuentes is anti-Israel, but he's also anti-Semitic. Like, he's both. He doesn't like Jewish people at all, and he doesn't like Israel because he conflates Judaism with Zionism because they're not the same things at all. They aren't. But he conflates them the same way that people who support Israel and Israel itself conflates Zionism with Judaism, and that's what creates more anti-Semitism. It's people like Ritchie that leads to more anti-Semitism in the United States. That's the thing. Like, there is truth to there being a rise in anti-Semitism in the United States. But it's not because of college campus leftists or progressives or whatever. It's because of right-wing groups who already are pretty anti-Semitic, who are already more likely to be anti-Semitic than people on the left. They're just going to be more anti-Semitic because they're not actually going to look into like the true meaning as to why Israel is doing this. They're just going to be like, well, they're Jews and I think Jews are evil and they control the government, and so, you know, Jews are genociders. Like, that's what happens.
I really just, for me, it's...
And Ritchie, despite being a Democrat, feeds into that shit.
The experience of...
It just sounds like you're justifying anti-Semitism, which making me feel like...
Are you crazy right now?
Okay.
Why would I do that? You're doing the I'm Hamas thing?
I'm not saying you're Hamas, but it's, I'm not, I think there should be...
We'll do a different...
Like, we live in a country now that has completely flipped ever since October 7th. Like, when October 7th happened, most of America supported Israel. But now we, at least when it comes to Democrats, like, or at least like voting Democrats, I'm pretty sure, most of them support Palestine. They don't support Israel. They are anti-Israel. Like, we completely flipped on this issue. And Ritchie, being a Democrat, like, this is just such bad fucking messaging. Like, he still holds on to it. Like, Adam brought up just a little bit ago, like, this is a losing talking point. Again, this is why I say that I feel like a lot of people within Ritchie's district don't know who the fuck he is, or don't even know that they voted for him. Because, again, he only became somewhat known because of what happened during October 7th and afterwards, because of his vocal support for Israel. And again, some of them probably don't even know that he is their representative. And I really hope that because of this, because I saw a lot of people in response to this being like, I didn't even know who this guy was and I hate him now. I hope that because of this, people within his district are at least somewhat more aware of him, or at least hopefully people who know people within that district who have seen this reach out to those people and be like, hey, this is why you shouldn't fucking vote for this guy. Next time there's an election, don't vote for him. Because, like, this guy should not be anywhere near politics because he's obviously such a shill. He does not care about his constituents. He does not care about the average person. He only cares about the bag. He only cares about the money he makes, no matter how blood-stained that money is.
The Israeli government policy should have no bearing on... If you have disagreements with the Israeli government, you should voice your criticism of the Israeli government, but there is no justification for intimidation or harassment against American Jews.
I'm telling you as a Jew right now that we are receiving a lot more hate because of what the people with the flag that has a Jewish star on are doing to other people right now.
This is, again, going back to like people criticizing Adam. Again, I didn't want to talk about it that much. But, like, I can't help but to talk about it at least somewhat in this circumstance. This is why I feel like what Adam is doing here is good. Because, again, Ritchie is the one who constantly brings the actions of Israel to the Jewish identity. What Adam is doing is a good counterpoint, because, like, if he was just going to, like, try to be like, well, Jewish people's lives don't, like, not Jewish people's lives, people being Jewish during this genocide doesn't matter. We already seen what Ritchie is like when Adam is giving him even a little bit of pushback. He's just going to deflect. He's just going to try to drive the interview into a different way. And again, Adam is not a master debater. He is not a historian. He is not someone who has spent his entire life dedicated to this subject. He's just a guy who knows a fair amount about the subject, who's just trying to do the best he can with someone who is literally a paid shill for the genocidal state. Again, that's why I feel like the way that he went about this is not only like courageous, it's not only like pretty damn good, for his level of expertise within this, which isn't much. Again, I do think it's a good way to combat this, because it makes the average person look at this and be like, well, how can this guy who's not a Jewish person tell this guy who is a Jewish person what anti-Semitism is and isn't? Like, that's something that at least a lot of people will be able to understand.
I'm telling you, as a Jewish person, how painful it is for us to say, and it hurts my stomach to say this, and you're going to say, I disagree, that this is a genocide. And that hurts to say that a Jew could do that. It hurts because we grew up with learning about what hatred is. We grew up learning about this. And the same year the state of Israel was established, in 1948, the world saw the Holocaust, and they established standards for what a genocide is. It was the same year. And the world said that this shouldn't be a thing that happens. You know? And I just wonder, like, it doesn't make sense to me, I don't know, it doesn't track to me why there's this fixation with kids at a school and 2 examples of people at a restaurant that there was banging.
2 examples. I mean, there are surveys on it.
Give me
read the EDL surveys on it.
The EDL, first of all, it's the ADL, and using that as a fucking source, dude. Again, he is not beating the Paige Schill accusations, dude. Being like, check out the ADL. You mean the Apartheid Defense League? The league that is literally there to defend Israel? The same organization that saw Elon Musk doing the full fucking Nazi salute, the full fucking Hitler at the inauguration. It was just like, he shouldn't have done that, but like, who gives a fuck? That ADL, and again, that would have been a good point for Adam to bring up. He doesn't bring it up, but being like, they fucking supported Elon doing the fucking Hitler. You're like, what are we talking about? You think that's a valuable source about anti-Semitism?
Because
it's hard for me to talk about this in public because you're being a dick. That's mean.
No, I'm not being mean. I'm just clear it's an emotional topic.
All right, I'll share with you what happened.
I'm not.
I lived there.
I don't intend to be mean. So.
Sir, I lived there when I was 18, and I grew up a Zionist. And we were told, and our whole community in this country is told, that we have to defend Israel and love Israel because it will stop the Holocaust. It will stop another Holocaust from happening. And my dad was born in 1951. That was 6 years after these atrocities. His friends' parents, he knew these people that had been through this hell, these skeletons. And it terrified us. And the understanding in our community is that we have to defend Israel. But I lived there, and I went to a settlement at the end of my year there, and I looked down the hill at a Palestinian village, and I saw how they lived, and I turned back and I looked at the settlement and saw how they lived. And people live in a world where they're demeaned and dehumanized and surveilled constantly.
What Adam is explaining here, like going back to like when Ritchie was trying to own Adam by being like, oh, well, you don't know what my district looks like because, blah, blah, blah. Like when I was talking about like the identity politics he was trying to play there, even though there is truth to how people in that district are treated, even though, again, Ritchie doesn't do much in actually trying to fix that district because he's too busy talking about Israel. In a way, Adam is explaining the same circumstances that a lot of people within Ritchie's districts probably face. Like they live in the poorest district. They're going through a lot where the system is just continuously beating them down. You think out of every single like politician in America, Ritchie would be one of like the most vocal pro-Palestinian voices out there because like he's seen how demeaned some of the poorest people in the country are, like how demeaned they are by the systems that be, or like people who are above them in terms of wealth. But like he got the bag to be a shill, and that's what's like so disgusting about this. That's why I call him a fucking demon, because like how is it that you could have such a, not just like in terms of the people that you represent, like such a connection to the people that you represent. Like you represent the poorest district. And earlier in this interview, he talked about how like he lived in public housing. He's experienced low levels of poverty. He's experienced like a lot of the system. He's experienced a lot of like oppression within his life. Again, he's a mixed race man, Latino and Black. And he's a part of the LGBT community. To have gone through so many systems of oppression in your entire life and still come out, your biggest impact, your biggest talking point within your political career, that you could, instead of like, actually talking about your constituents and what they go through, you are mostly just talking about a oppression, a oppressor, a fucking supremacist state. That's what's so disgusting about it. Like, if you were to look at this man's history, everything should be able to spell out that he would not be pro-Israel, but he is, because he got the money. That's what makes Ritchie so disgusting in my case. And I might just end it off here, because I think that's a pretty good note to end off on. And I feel like if we just continue at this point, it's just gonna be me continuing the same talking points over and over again, because like, I can't fucking stand this dude. I really can't. And there are so many people within, our government who are just fucking like him. But again, I think it's just so fucking disgusting the way that he has operated as someone who represents, again, the poorest district in America, and who has experienced so much hardships in his life, to be like, I'm going to be like the biggest supporter of the supremacist state that is committing genocide. It's so fucking disgusting. Hello everyone, thank you for watching today's video. If you would like to see other videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you would like to hear me talk about a lot more nerdy subjects such as anime, comic books, video games, movies, and even pro wrestling, you can check out my second channel, The Fruit Basket. And if you would like to see me play video games, I have a channel called FruitySaur Gaming where you can check out those videos there. Anyways, that's all I have for today, and I will see you all next time.